Hello, I am Isaac Newton, and I created gravity. Now, I may not have exactly created gravity, but I really created the concept of gravity. Now, how did all this happen? How did I get to where I am? Let me tell you. I was walking home from college, Trinity College to be exact. Smartest kid in the class, I was. Yet, what was happening was the Great Plague. When I had gotten home, I sat down to ponder my thoughts, when all of a sudden, I had been hit in the head with an apple? This may not sound like much, but I then thought more and more of this apple, and the way it moved towards the earth, straight, not at an angle. How? I started to study motion for over a year and a half, and soon came to my theory of gravity. Gravity brought things to the earth, keeping them there. That's how I'm standing here now. Soon enough, I came up with the 3 laws of motion. They are not as confusing as they seem. They're actually quite interesting. Let me show you them. Law number 1. Every object will remain at rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change its state by the action of an external force. This law is pretty common sense. It basically means that an object isn't going to move unless if something moves it. Or an object isn't going to stop unless if something stops it. I'll give you an example and put things in terms of your time. Take into account a car. When it moves, it is able to slow down and speed up. This is because of friction inside the car and against the surface it's moving on. If it wasn't for friction, the car wouldn't move, or the car wouldn't stop. Or a hot cup of tea. It's sitting here on a table. Now see, the cup is not moving. Gravity is pulling it down onto the surface of the table. If an external force would hit this, it would knock over, and it and all it contains would go towards the earth because of gravity. So if we just knock... Law number 2. For a constant mass, force equals mass times acceleration. This law basically says that the more mass something has, the more force you're going to need to accelerate it, to move it. Say, a pen, very light, and a piece of wood, fairly heavy. If I should throw these objects, one of them will be easier to accelerate and will require very little force. The other will require more force to accelerate it into the air. And? See? Fairly easy, went pretty far. I just threw it very lightly and it went a fair distance. Now the wood, I'm gonna have to use more force for this wood to propel it into the air. You see? It may have went further, but it was harder to throw. It was harder to accelerate into the air because I need more force to accelerate more mass. Let's look at another example, a wheelbarrow. If it's empty, it's easy to push, as you can see my friend doing in the background. He's using little force because there isn't much mass in the wheelbarrow. Now what if there's something in the wheelbarrow? Something heavy. Isaac, no! Isaac! Now time to learn about the 3rd and final law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It's pretty self-explanatory. When an object interacts with another object, that object is going to send back the same amount of force to the other object. For an example, a basketball. If I drop it, it comes back up to me. It may not seem like much, so let's get a more detailed look. As you can see, the ball hits the ground, making the ground send back the same amount of force in the other direction, allowing the ball to come right up into my hands. In this next example, I'll be using myself. I'm going down, the trampoline is pushing me back up with the same amount of weight, the same amount of force that I'm putting down. And if I just keep jumping, the harder I jump, the higher I'll go. And that's what I created, the 3 laws of motion. Something that every day we see but we don't see, if you know what I mean. I'm Sir Isaac Newton. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
fell out. Oh my god. Alright, let me help. Got mud all over me. So is your phone ruined?
I gotta make sure it's clean.
Okay. You began the recovery.
That was like horrible. Did we get glasses?